Bellefontaine, and you're listening to the Homebuyer's Hour on WCPT AM 820. And today we're going to be talking about downsizing, but we're going to spend more time on the actual market statistics. And our guest today is Beth Repta. And right now I'm going to be doing a little switching of seats in here. But nonetheless, Beth has brought her computer in here with us. And she did that just so we can go ahead and give us all the stats to see where the market is going. And the bottom line is, a lot of people think we're going to be in for a huge slowdown, and we're not trying to sell people into anything, but I think everybody's shaking their heads no, because it's like all the indicators are saying, fasten your seatbelts because things are going to go for a wild, expensive ride as it comes to it. But Beth, I gave enough about what we're going to talk about today. I would like you to introduce yourself, please, and tell everybody where you're located at, your phone number, how they get hold of you in other ways, and why you're my favorite real estate broker.
Well, thank you. Beth Repta with Repta Residential of Keller Williams. I service the northwest suburbs of Chicago. And while technically we've covered 50 to 60 suburbs, so a wide range. My phone number, 847-668-BETH. How fun is that? I picked that in the year 2000. So it just, here we are.
In
here we
the
are
year 2000.
Sounds good.
24 years.
Yes.
Patrick, give us your intro, please.
If any of you are Conan O'Brien fans and old enough to remember that skit, in the year 2000. Yeah, no, we got time. It's fine. I'm Patrick Loftus. I'm a real estate lawyer. I represent buyers and sellers of real estate in the Chicagoland area. I handle, I don't know how many suburbs we have, but I handle all of them. Just whatever, man.
I think it's close to 90 is what it is.
Close to.
Are you trying to upstage me at this point now? You're trying to upstage me.
He is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But I see. Okay, so yes and no, right? We're talking numbers today, and so that was my attempt at talking numbers. But let's face it. When you service 50 to 60 suburbs, you're actually going to these places.
Yeah.
When I service the Chicagoland area, I service it from my office, and there's only one spot, so I don't necessarily have to physically be present in these places. And in order to do that takes time. And so going from Cary to Tinley, that's your whole day, right?
That is a whole.
And how do they get hold of you?
Charlie's so sick of me already. Find me on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Loftus_law. Find me on TikTok, Loftus Law.
And Joey, if you don't mind, give us your contact info.
Joey Matthews, VA Loan Nerd, NMLS 1230694. You can find me on the interwebs as the VA Loan Nerd. You could find my website, thevaloannerd.com. You can call or text me at 630-235-2405.
And my name is Charlie Bellefontaine. Again, I own Chicagoland Home Inspectors. Our phone number is 312-544-9180. Repeating, 312-544-9180. Our website is The Home Inspectors. That's plural, ORS, and it's a .com. And, Joey, one of the things I like is when you give us your stats and your numbers and what's going on, especially the pre-approvals. Or pre-authorization, and I'll never remember the difference between the two.
You're talking pre-approval versus pre-qualification. Pre-approval is actually something that you can rely on if it's from the right broker. Pre-qualification is probably worth less than toilet paper.
But anyway, when you say that you're doing a whole bunch of those, I know that it's only a week's matter of time before our schedule starts getting booked up, and we're right behind you on that. So I do want you to give us an update on what's going on with the market and the government. And I know they talked a little bit about a higher inflation rate in January than what was expected. What does that mean to, your favorite person, Mr. Powell, and how he's going to do with the rates and what they're going to be making our
higher
future
for longer, higher for longer,
Joey,
higher for longer.
Joey, now before you start, I just want to remind you that just because Charlie talked about Jay Powell, you still have to be mindful not to swear, okay?
I'm working on that. My therapist is putting in overtime right now.
Oh my goodness.
No, I mean, hey, so the consumer price index yesterday, the core, it came back literally 0.2% higher than anticipated, but still at a 2.5-year low, right? So the market reacted like way stronger than they should have. There was a monster sell-off in MBS. Mortgage-backed securities. There was a monster sell-off in the 10-year Treasury. We gained 20 bips in the 10-year Treasury. 20 bips is basis points. That's 0.2. I mean, it's 0.2%, right? So yesterday was a garbage day for rates. Probably up at least an eighth, probably a quarter, if we're being honest, from what you may have been quoted on a Friday last week, right? It can be. It is it's a monster overreaction. Today is going to be a better day. Traders are recanting their sales yesterday, so we're seeing the 10-year Treasury drop back below 4.3 right now, and we're in for a correction today, and I would say through the end of the week. They're reassessing whether they think the first rate cuts are going to come, and they've been saying June for a while, right? They said March for a little bit until we saw a jobs report data 2 weeks ago, and then everyone's put their bets on June. This does not change the bets for June, so it was a significant overreaction. We're going to see it come back down in earnest over the next couple of weeks, but man, yesterday was stupid for still being at a 2.5-year low on inflation and having a sell-off like that. It's unheard of. But anyway, keep buying.
Beth, jump in on that a little bit, because
no, at the end of the day, the best investment anyone is going to make, this stands the test of time, right? The Buffetts aren't the Buffetts without frickin' or am I age? Not the Buffetts.
Joey?
No, it is.
I told
it's Jimmy. You don't know Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy. He's a good dude. I've been on one, man. Warren Buffett isn't
Joey.
Warren Buffett without real estate, okay? So it's the greatest investment you're going to make. It's the biggest key to generational wealth. I mean, of all the pillars of building wealth, real estate needs to be number one in your book, right?
Can I jump in on that?
Yeah, I was just
absolutely.
Oh my gosh, this is like the most beautiful segue ever. Okay,
let's go. Let's have it. Let's have some numbers.
Appreciation nationwide. 1 year, 5.6%. 5 years, 54%. 10 years, 103%.
Can I stop you on that one? The 54% mark. I've always felt that typical appreciation is somewhere around 8 to 10%. I was corrected multiple times saying 5 is
like
expected.
6.
Wow.
And that may be true, but she just said 54% in 5 years.
What's the averages?
Well, that's
10% a year.
Well, that
am I dumb on math?
Well, think about those
were
unicorn years. I mean, like 2000 to first half of 2022. I mean, that was absolutely insanity. So that's all factored into there too. Average rate year over year is, I think, 4.3 or 4.86. I'm wrong. Over a 43-year average, 4.86% of appreciation. But get this, and this is exactly what you're just saying. Over 30 years, 297%. So it is the long game. This is where the net worth comes in, and I mean, absolutely. So you're right in saying, like, just buy.
When I first started on the fire department, I remember there was a district chief back then. I was making $24,000 a year. All right, full-time firefighter paramedic,
which is like $150,000 in today's dollars.
And that's exactly what the assistant chief guy was saying. By the time you retire, you're going to be making over $100,000 a year. And back then, when you're making $24,000 as a young guy, all I wanted to do was make my age. That was the key thing for boomers, all right? Laugh at me as you will. No, seriously, that was a big thing. Make your age.
If I made my age, right? I'd be in trouble.
Exactly. And that's the point I'm trying to make, how things have changed. And, just for a standard government job, that we were increasing so much, inflation is always going to happen. They built it into our system, I guess, is where I'm going at. And I don't mean to steal your thunder, but it's like, this is so true that you got to, it's going to happen. And if you're not in the game, I'm having this conversation with my stepdaughter, who, by the way, I'm a little upset with, because she made fun. She caught me and busted me for wearing my fleece 3 shows in a row. And they're like, and both her and my wife. I know, right? And so obviously now I'm afraid to even put that thing on again. But that's beside the point.
She's watching a real estate podcast. Yeah.
But she's
who's the real nerd, huh?
I'm the real nerd. All right, I'll leave it at that. But nonetheless, it goes back to renting and owning, and And I really do like this generation of hers, but I just can't understand the fear of owning.
Well, it's
All
because
right.
you're in you're in your head, right? You're thinking from your experience and as I've said before, we sit here and we've done however many hours of this podcast. But Beth, I want to kind of transition this, or not transition, but kind of focus this on something that you talked about wanting to discuss, which is that I think you said 1 in 4 people here in this country think that we're going to experience a downturn, something like 2008. Now,
I hear it from our home inspectors, the exact same thing.
yeah. So, I mean, it's like you talk about these aggregate numbers. I don't know, aggregate is the right word, but, if you're in a home for 10 years, 20 years, 5 years or whatever, what it sounds like to me is you've got a bunch of people who think they're going to time the market. They're going to wait until we have some sort of drop. But like any other investment, timing the market is darn near impossible. You really have to just get lucky. That's my perspective. I mean, can you talk more about that?
I mean, here's why that's not going to happen. So you got 3 main factors. The biggest one is the housing shortage, and I just don't think anybody really is taking into consideration that over the past 14 years, we have underbuilt in this country.
And we continue to, even with
Can't catch up.
the demand, the supply of houses that can be built. It's just we are not able to scale that up just based on the underlying the lack of
Can you
of people
prove
that
that
do
with
it.
the data, though? Can you prove that with the supply? Like how have we over the last 5 years, or even the last 2 or 3 years? Is there more properties
Well,
on the market today
no.
this time of year or less?
Less. And actually, let's flip to those numbers. So let's just talk about Chicagoland in general.
Please.
2022, in January of 2022, we had 14,400. January 2023, 14,600.
About the same.
2024, January 2024, we had 11,000.
Wow.
So that was a 24% decrease.
That's a big decrease.
So you also you've got shortage of shortage of homes. The population didn't stop growing.
No.
But the number of homes being built did. So that right there is one. Number 2, 70% of people in their homes have rates less than 4%. So they're married to that. Now,
Whoa, say that again.
70%.
That's a huge number.
Huge. And
Is
so
that
they're
is that
married to that.
70% of people who have loans? That doesn't take into account the percentage of people who own their homes outright. which is
Yeah.
you know what the interest rate is on that? 0.
Yep. So 70%. So you've got people that are married to that rate, which I want to touch on, like what's going to happen soon when
Please do.
when we get rates that dip below that 6% mark, and probably just right below. That's gonna cause.
It's going to shoot demand up, but it's also
Gonna
going
wreak havoc.
to put
Yeah,
it's going to put
absolutely.
more supply out there because you will have people that
Sell.
are
They finally will sell.
Finally, yeah.
they do the math, and math being what it is. I mean, if you can't qualify for a loan to buy the next place that you want to move into, you are sort of stuck. But at the same time, I think that. And I don't think this. I've talked to a number of people who are like, I could afford to move, but my rate is so low, I can't justify it. And, as they have growing families, as they have shrinking families, all of those things, they're eventually going to decide that living their life in a comfortable way is more important than hoarding money.
You got it. There's a whole psychology behind that for sure. That life happens, and that's gonna. I mean, that's.
I love it.
Eventually there's going to be some psychology to it too. The third thing are people are just staying in their homes longer than they were before. So you've got those 3 factors that are contributing to all this, and that's why, again, I think our job is to educate the consumer, to let them know. I mean, every day I hear this. Every day I hear people's real estate theories, and I try not to roll my eyes.
Everyone's an expert, aren't they?
Everybody's an expert, and it's just like, well,
What is the average amount of time that people are staying in their home? I mean, I always thought it was 7 to 10 years, and I'm hearing people tell me it's 4 to 5 years. Where are you getting that from?
All right, so the data would show, let me pull this up actually. The data would show that for a time period, I'm going to actually get really specific with this, for a time period they would probably stay in about an average of 7 years, but now you're seeing that bump up to actually more of the 9 to 10 year mark. So they're just sticking around a little bit longer. Could that be because of the low interest rates we've seen over time? Maybe. But I think that we're going to start to see some things changing here really soon.
What are you hearing, Joey, when people are coming to you? You know, I mean, do you have a lot of people that have those 2-3% loans that are buying something else?
It certainly exists. A lot of people that are in that situation to turn them into rental properties, if I'm being honest.
I've heard a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be short-lived for most people, I think.
and it's only hurting. It's only hurting new buyers, right? Most of the people I talk to are first-time home buyers right now because they weren't able to get in 2020, 2021, whatever, and now they feel the pressure, right?
Well, the rents keep going up. That's the funny thing about it. You know?
Oh yeah. And it's unfortunate. It is what it is. But I mean, housing starts are so far behind demand. I mean, this year alone, they're looking at what additional demand of at least 4 million, and housing starts in 2023 were only 1.4 million. I mean, you're not satisfying demand. You're 2.5 million builds behind demand in 2023 alone. So it's and that's from the Census Bureau estimates, right? So I don't know. It's just it's a wild time. And yeah, sorry.
I should be
it's
building
fine.
houses.
I'm not trying to interrupt you. It's you know, I'm just trying to jump in with you. I mean, I think last year or a year and a half ago, when you know people were getting rents in, like, let's say Lincoln Park. I think it's a very sought after Wrigleyville area. You know, they were paying about $1,000 a bedroom. Now they're at $1,500 a bedroom. That's a 50% increase that comes up there. That's stupid.
But
are you seeing the same thing? Or?
Well, what are incomes doing? I don't know what's going on with rent, to be honest. I don't, I don't dip my toe in that market. But
Fair.
I mean, yes, okay. There's no disputing what the numbers are as far as that goes. But I think you have to pair that up with what are people making. You know, you can't talk about rent or your monthly payment for a mortgage or really any of this without also talking about what people have coming in to pay for it. You talked about having $24,000 a year as an income and being able to afford being a homeowner. Obviously, you couldn't do that today, but if you took that $24,000 and turned it into a wage that a like person would be earning, that changes also the affordability of whatever that rent is. And listen, If someone said, "Hey, I need you to pay $3,000 a month to rent my place," I'd say, "Well, I gotta move out." I've been in my place, almost 15 years, and I have a mortgage that it hasn't really changed. So as inflation goes up, I just pay the same amount. It's pretty nice.
Joey, are you seeing increases in income? On averages, I guess. I don't even know if you have stats on that.
I don't even. I mean, I'd have to Google the stats on increases in income, right? Well, I mean, we see it in the economic reporting every month. I'll see when the next one comes out. But I look at everything as a percentage of income being used to buy a house, right? So I have seen that number go up. The percentage of income going towards your mortgage has been going up lately, right? From when I used to see 20 to 25, 30%. Being the average amount, now I'm seeing usually 30s and 35, 40% of someone's gross income being used for mortgage, right? So that's how I view income. It's a percentage of your money that's going towards your mortgage, right? And that number has gone up in my anecdotal, evidence.
I love it. I got the same evidence. Beth, jump in on that. I mean, what are you seeing with your clients? Are you seeing that more people are eligible for homes, or they have to start looking at smaller, homes because the prices are surpassing their income, or vice versa?
Yeah. I mean, what you could afford before versus what you can afford now, and it's just a sad state of affairs when you start. Maybe say you started your search a year ago, and then thought to yourself, "Oh, it's going to drop. It's going to drop," and it didn't drop. But
what's
now
going to drop? The prices or the interest rates?
All of it, right?
All of it. Okay.
All of it. That's what they think, right? 1 in 4 consumers thinks that. Okay, that didn't happen. I mean, I hear this every day. So now their backs are up against the wall. Now you're trying to take them out, and they're salty. They're already in a multiple offer situation. They're super salty that once upon a time they could afford this neighborhood. and now they're bumped back into another neighborhood. They don't really want to be there. The condition of the house is not what they want. They don't have the updates, blah, blah, blah.
School
blah.
district, all that
School
stuff.
district, all of it. And so, like, it's a really hard sell. And it's really an interesting progression to watch someone's, just the downturn of, like, what their expectations were to, like, what they are now. They're not happy.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And then to what we were talking before, like, now they have to, like, pay, right? So they're gonna, for that, even they're gonna pay more than they think, and then they feel away, like during the entire transaction, and they're trying to get money on the back end. They're hoping their appraisal doesn't come out, all that, like, it's just bad.
I mean, what you're describing to me just sounds like brat behavior. It's like, I want what I want, and I don't like that I can't get everything I want. It's like, hey,
Hey, well, listen, but Charlie, you said 18% interest rates once upon a time, so you got to jump in and tell them to quit crying.
No, I'm not going to do that because Patrick was describing me. I'm the guy over there whining about all that stuff. I'm not going to, sit here and, disagree with that. But it is true. Everything is relative. I look at people that were paying $10,000 or more for Super Bowl tickets, or even in the nosebleed seats, they say they were paying close to $1,000 for those seats and stuff like that.
Ridiculous.
Well, but to somebody that makes $4 million a year, it's a $20 bill. All right, everything is relative to what you make and what you can afford to spend, and I think that's where we as a society vary so much because we got a big range of income, and I know we're talking in generalities here. I get all that. But there's still different markets, different price ranges, and people have different amount of money and what they think. For example, we just had a home inspection next door to President Obama's house. All right, and this is a chief financial officer. We're talking a $2 million plus home, beautiful place, and I'm doing the final interview with them, and he's like, "Yeah, we're stretching, we're pushing it. It seems like." And I did this too. When I bought my first house, I bought as much as I could at that 18% interest rate. We were eating beans and potatoes for a year. I couldn't afford any sort of issues, and then my roof started leaking.
Beans are very healthy for you.
They
Charlie.
are very
It's a very
healthy
Irish
for
diet.
me. Or Mexican at the time. That's where we were, But nonetheless, so the point I'm trying to get at, we were penny pinching at that time. But boy, did that work out, because 10 years later, when we went to sell that house, we doubled it in value. 100% of all of my expenses I recapped. Even after we paid the real estate broker their commission, we ended up paying, we lived there for free for 10 years. That's pretty amazing.
That sounds a lot like what Beth was talking about earlier. And, the other thing she talked about at breakfast was that, we experienced, and, we're talking nationwide here, so every locality is different, but 5% appreciation in 2023, and that same thing is expected for 2024. So, if you're all salty about, you have to be in this neighborhood as opposed to that neighborhood, is your alternative, I guess, renting somewhere else where, you're basically sacrificing a 5% return on an investment? I mean, I think most people would enjoy a 5% return on their investment, and it's an investment you get to live in.
Beat me up,
nice.
the three of you. My thought process is this: if you're going to get a 2.5% raise, and yet the housing prices are going up 5 to 6%, you're losing money. Am I wrong on that statement?
You are.
Tell me why I'm wrong.
If you get a 2% raise and you get a 5% return on your investment, those are both wins. How are you losing money in that?
Because my
scenario?
mortgage go up 5%, but my income is only going up 2.5%.
How's your mortgage going up 5% in this scenario? Like so.
I'm talking about if I'm not in the real estate market. I get where you're coming from
all
now.
right, yeah.
Forgive me.
I misheard you. I think.
No, I
yeah,
misspoke.
Yeah.
All right.
If you have an opportunity, if your housing situation is such that you'd like to make a change and you can afford to make that change. For whatever your situation is, first-time home buyer. But let's not forget that a lot of people who own homes have a ton of equity, and if they need to move up, they have the ability to increase that down payment, which is going to lessen the impact of that higher interest rate. I think you're going to see more than a few people make the decision, hey, I bought in 2020, I've got $150,000 worth of equity in my property. And so I have a sizable chunk of the proceeds can go toward the next house. So, when we talk about the unaffordability of houses, we have to also consider the fact that sellers, there's two sides of that coin, right? There's the buyer side, and they're like, whining about not being able to afford what, Zillow told them they could afford, back in early 2022.
I'm looking for grins. Once that Zillow name gets yelled at, I'm like, who's grinning?
And, meanwhile, there's a person on the other side of that transaction who is they're sitting on a pile of money. So, all of that goes back to the idea that if you're sitting on the sidelines, you're not going to end up being that seller who is sitting on that pile of money.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it as a long game too. Just like the numbers we were throwing out, the 10 years, 30 year. I mean,
some years are better than others.
And some years are definitely better than others. But, now as opposed to like '08, right? Because everyone's kind of like, that's what I hear. That's what I hear all the time.
The scars in my psyche from '08,
This is a different scenario where when I was going on listing appointments before, we were talking about it earlier. I was going, people were crying. Like, '08.
Yeah.
It happened more than once where I would bring them final numbers and net proceeds, and they're like, what are you talking about? And then we'd switch the conversation to short sale. Now I'm talking about such massive amounts of equity, and they're like, wait, are you kidding? Like, you're kidding? Like, we can make $150,000. Like, I'm like the hero of the day, like, so that's
and all you're
difference.
doing is educating.
Yeah.
Imagine that. But I want to switch back a little bit on some of that stuff, and I actually just lost my train of thought on going in there. But it has to do with the income and the prices and everything else that's coming with it. And again, if average income, and I guess when we go back to 2008, and that's where it was going. One thing that people don't remember is our gas prices were at $4.25 a gallon. All right. And before 2008, we did have a big boom. And I think that our society wants the most amount of square foot that they can get for whatever. So the biggest bang for the buck, the most value is how I look at it. And so I personally, like I used to live in Elmhurst, and then we moved out to Plainfield, knowing that I would have a 45-minute drive to and from work back and forth on that was fine. Then all of a sudden, gas prices went from $2 to $4.25, and realize $4.25 back then in 2008 is $6.50 a gallon today. What do you think your life would be like driving at $6.50 a gallon today? That's what I know. Everybody blamed the banks and everything else. Joey, it's 100% your fault why 2008 happened, and I'm joking, of course.
Damn right.
But nonetheless, it's like people. Food, water, shelter. You're going to pay for your mortgage if you can. You're going to go to work because you need money. You have to get to work, so you got to buy gas to get there. None of this stuff actually works well. And then all of a sudden, you can't afford to get to work almost anymore. You're going to cut out the entertainment. That's going to be the first thing that's going to go. Those industries, they ended up getting laid off or getting pay cuts. And that's the other thing. When the economy goes down, people tend to lose their job, and then they have to take another job at a lesser pay, all right, instead of constantly things going up. Okay, I'm on the soapbox here. I got to shut myself up. I'm getting all worked up on these sort of things. We're just not there is the point I'm trying to make. We have great gas prices, great unemployment, great salaries, and there's still not enough houses out there, and the only thing I'm seeing is it's going to get expensive.
Charlie's over here driving an EV truck here, talking about how gas prices are, a big problem.
I do like that truck.
It's a nice truck.
Thank you.
It's a nice truck. I mean,
nice truck.
the dealership, they did you right with it. Never mind.
We're having
We're going into trigger mode.
I love just pulling levers.
Well, who are you anyway? Because I need to get your contact information, Mr. String Puller.
If you want me to trigger you, follow me on Instagram, Loftus_law. If you're younger than that, follow me on TikTok at Loftus Law. I post all the time.
Sounds good. Joey, give us your contact, please.
Yes, sir. You can call or text me at 630-235-2405. Find me at thevaloannerd.com or all across any social media as at the VA Loan Nerd.
Sounds good. And Patrick, don't forget what you were talking about.
Oh,
Beth, can you give us your content?
I don't want to go after that. He's got a good radio voice.
Oh, doesn't he ever?
Yeah.
It's just so fun.
It is.
Can I spice it up? I'm gonna try to. I'm Beth
Let's
Repta
go.
with Repta Residential, 847-668 Beth.
Beautiful.
Did I do
Works
it?
like
All
a
I love it.
All right,
Yeah.
we're good.
You got some future broadcasters in here.
Cool.
No lie. My name is Charlie Bellefontaine, Chicagoland Home Inspectors, and our phone number is 312-544-9180. And if you're interested in joining the home inspection business, we do training, and that's Home Inspection University of Illinois, and that's www.hiuil.com. And Patrick, I interrupted you so rudely.
No, you didn't.
But continue on, please.
Yeah, it's interesting. What you described, it feels kind of generational in the sense of you talking about wanting, the most square footage for, the best value. I don't necessarily think younger generations have that same impulse to buy as big a house as possible.
I don't think so either.
Number one, I don't want to have to clean. I can barely clean our condo, and the cat does nothing to contribute. I'll tell you what. And as far as the gas prices, I mean, look, number one, I think that having, for me, having no commute is extremely valuable. It's when it would be, it'd be way toward the it'd be very low on the list of things I'd be willing to sacrifice. You'd have to pay me a lot of money to have a commute of 45 minutes. I've done it. It's not great. It's not great for your life, your health, any of that stuff. But the other thing is that the United States, as opposed to 2008 and other times when we had a lot of sensitivity to other countries that are able to pull levers in the oil and gas market, today the United States produces more oil and gas than
Very
any
good
country in the world. All right, and why have we gone so not all in, but why have we done as much as we possibly can to make that the case, is so that when Saudi Arabia goes, hey, we're going to cut production, we go, do what you want.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Thank you.
We're now the biggest player in that market. I mean, that's not by accident.
No.
And that's going to continue to be the case. I mean, Biden campaigned a lot on promoting green agendas, but we've done nothing but continue to drill under him. Let me just get political for a second. I think he's done a great job. He's my kind of guy in the sense that I get the vibe that he's more of a pragmatist, which is very much up my alley. Let's cut the BS. I didn't do it. I didn't say the words. But yeah, so some of the foundational aspects of our economy are vastly different from 2008, and that goes to the point that Beth is really trying to emphasize here. To the folks who think that we're going to experience another 2008, show her the numbers. Show me the numbers. I don't see any numbers. Show me, a side-by-side comparison of, the basic, what was unemployment? What did unemployment look like at that point? What does it look like today? Do we see any signs of unemployment going up? Not really. Not appreciably. Not to the levels that they were at that point. How many places still have help wanted signs in the window? And I know that's differs depending on what industry you're in, but again, Beth, tell me what is it that these people are looking at that suggests that they have a rational basis for their opinion other than their feelings?
TikTok. I know you're on
Maybe
TikTok.
I mean, my TikTok.
There's people are out there that are making these claims and these posts, and it's crazy. But the sky is that's falling.
Yeah.
It's
Well, that's
wild.
all
But there's
attempted
no
manipulation is
source.
what that is.
There's there's a whole subreddit of people who are it's a I can't say
But
the word.
based on what? Nobody
Feelings.
No economist is out there, and the resources that we're pulling from, it's a collective. It's not like it's just one resource. It's not like I'm just hanging on what Fannie Mae is saying, and it's Case-Shiller reports, it's Fannie Mae reports, it's like Goldman Sachs reports. It's a collaboration. Not one of them is saying that the interest rates are going to continue to go up.
Yeah.
Not
Kind
one
of
of
like
them.
me. You're a little bit of a data nerd. All
Little bit.
right.
A little bit.
And I'm not giving you that as a negative thing. Please don't take it
I don't
that
take
way.
it as a negative.
Being a nerd is awesome.
Being a nerd is
I
awesome.
mean, she called
You know?
herself that before, so I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think you're out of line, Beth.
So here's the real thing.
take
How do you
pride.
talk to your? Let me ask you first. Do you do more sells, more list,
More lists.
more lists? What? Give me a percentage.
We're like 70-30.
70-30. Okay, so that's not too
Yeah,
far
so we're-
off. So how do you talk to somebody about pricing and
Yeah.
about what to expect? I mean, expectations is the strongest word in my
Yeah.
business vocabulary.
Let's take all of the data
Give
that
me
we
some.
just talked about and boil it down
Yeah.
to like when I walk in the door and talk to somebody. And it goes a little something like this. Hey, well, what do you think we should fix? Should we make this improvement? What do we need to do from an inspection standpoint? And I know the data so well that I'm like, whoa. This is, we're going into 2024. In my little baby town of Cary, which population 18 to 20,000, we had 15 homes on the market.
Oh yeah, listen to Joey.
15.
Sounds like the high C
15
guy.
homes.
The high C. What are you talking about? That's Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid. I stand corrected.
Come on.
It's gonna run through
one
the
of
wall.
those, just like Trump and Biden. I'm having my senior moment too.
Oh my God.
All right, at 39, it's
Hit
not
the
easy.
malarkey button. Hit the malarkey.
Hit
Come
the
on. Come on.
malarkey. All right, there you go.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
There we go. Thank you.
I was waiting for someone to use it.
And
Okay.
then, I'll get them all right now, And that, yeah, we get them all in there.
I need
All right.
I need one goofy. Come
One
on, come on.
goofy. All right, he's right there. All right, that's it. All my sound effects are done for the day now. I'm sorry to
All in one
interrupt
shot.
you.
That's
All
the
in one
best.
shot. Okay. So when we're advising them, I'm like, whoa. There's 15 houses for sale in this whole town. You're competing against no one. Let's back it up. Let's just take care of major inspection items. We don't need to talk about changing out your faucets and, painting this room and that room unless it's just an obnoxious color. I mean, we're really scaling back, and yet we're most of the time able to get them the same price that, without doing much. Now, if this was 07 or 08, different stories, massive levels of competition. But when I'm going into talking about someone, I know the data so well, so we can back off all the things that they need to do. They're not replacing carpeting, they're cleaning the carpet. They're not painting every room, they're painting a room, if that. But when what the future forecast is, if you know that the rates are going to drop, if you know that you have a massive housing shortage, and you're starting to make recommendations for someone, I am so much backing off.
And when you're talking about 15 houses, you also have to split that down to smaller stuff, like stuff that's under 200,000.
Oh,
2 to 4, 4 to 8,
100%.
over $1 million.
Some of the 15, and the three are like future spec homes. One is an auction. Like, no.
Yeah, there's a big
nothing.
range for what everybody wants.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And Joey, how does that come into you? Do you share? I guess you don't. You're more or less tell people how much they could afford, but I know you get into coaching on overbuying houses. I know you're like me. You can't stay quiet on that, Joe.
Yeah, no, I tell people, hey, I'll do whatever you tell me to do, right? At the end of the day, my job is to make you happy, but I'm also going to warn you how much you're going to hate me in a couple of years if you do what you say you want to do. So I absolutely coach up on that because I don't want you to hate me. I want you to tell your mom how much you love me, And if I'm letting you extend yourself so much that, next thing you know, I don't want to say you're house poor because there's going to be equity in the market, but you feel like you have to sell and downsize within a year or two, you're not going to be happy with me, and you probably won't come back to me.
And I think that boils
That's my
down
thought.
to my lawsuit against Shakespeare for him stealing my reputation comment. All right, I can't believe that guy plagiarized me. But that's beside the point. Patrick, does that come into play on you too, or?
We're gonna have to explain, that inside joke to Beth because she's like, "What is he talking about?" We'll talk after the show. Did they manage to have the ski jump festival? I know we have no. How did they do? They did.
They did.
Rollerblade ski
did.
jumps.
I think.
We went last year. We missed it this year. I think we were on
It's a
vacation.
good time. Thanks for giving the Fox River Grove a shout out.
It's a really good time. I'll tell you what, I'm mad at. So I grew up out that way, and I'm mad that my folks never took me to it because it is a party.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a ski jump. You asked me a question, and I don't care. I'm not going to answer. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about.
All right, my toes are off. Go.
If you're interested in a good time, that sounded weird.
Yeah. I think I read this on the bathroom wall.
668 Beth.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Oh boy, we went down the wrong avenue.
You know what? This is my
Kidding.
fault.
Kidding.
I take full responsibility for my actions. Beth said what she said. That wasn't on me. But
Just kidding.
no, but in January, in most years, they have a ski jump festival out in Fox River Grove, and it is a lot of fun. So if you're out that way or feel like you want to make it out that way, it's a cool time. What did you ask me?
Talking about buyers and expectations and prepping them. I know you come in a little bit later, but it's that keyword expectations on what you can and cannot do, and it's letting people run wild. Emotions just take over.
They've already made that mistake if they overpaid by the time they get to me. Now, most buyers feel like they overpaid, right? I mean, it just. Even in soft markets, right? They feel like, they as we mentioned earlier, everyone thinks they're an expert in real estate. Everyone thinks they're really awesome at negotiation, that they're going to get one over on the other guy. But I got news for you. The other guy thinks the same thing about themselves. Yeah. So, you're going to sit there, you're going to be like, yeah, I got him. And then you're going to offer, and they're going to go, no. And then they're going to counter at something, and you're like, no way, I could. And, at the end of the day, you're going to feel like you overpaid by $10,000, and the seller feels like they undersold by $10,000. And now it arrives on my desk, and now we're talking about what happened at the inspection, and at that point, each transaction has its own characteristics. The buyer and the seller are each their own person, we're gonna have discussions between me and the buyer, me and the buyer's agent. If I'm on the other side, we're gonna talk to the seller, and then the seller's agent, but. The things I'm trying to find out at that point are what were the discussions like before the contract was entered into? Because if I don't have that context, I may send a ham-handed letter that is trying to renegotiate something that the parties already settled on. The roof's old. Okay, so we're going to take $5,000 off the price, and now I've gone through the inspection, and the inspectors identified the old roof, and I go, well, let's ask let's
get another 20.
Let's ask them for a new roof,
right.
And the buyer goes, yeah, that sounds great. Because what else are they going to say? The lawyer,
can do that?
The lawyer's advising them that they can ask for a roof. And
your collaboration between the inspector and the agent is key.
Yeah, and then if I don't call Beth and go, hey, they're talking about a roof, what happened pre-contract, and she goes, yeah, we went back and forth on that like 10 times.
Or we were in multiple offers. Just don't even try. Don't even try to ask. You just go for the very, 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 the very most important thing on there. But we can't. We'll jeopardize this. They're sitting on backup offers. So but as long as we have that conversation and we're both in alignment with that, and we can both advise the same way. But a lot of agents will just go and leave it up to the attorney.
Why?
And they don't know any context of like what was negotiated, why it was negotiated that way. Some of these people too, to your point, like some of them have already lost a couple times in these multiple offer situations. If they're in that, they're coming up a little beat up and bruised too.
And now they're a little more desperate.
And so they don't want to lose a deal. So like I've seen stuff happen where like we just get these like shoddy attorney letters coming through, not from you.
No, never from me.
Never from you. But like we'll just get a letter and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like why do they not know that their client was already in a multiple offer situation and we're talking about like minuscule I'm not going to bring up loose toilets because you already schooled on me that.
I'm sorry I beat on you. But I want to get back to that. Why are we even letting the attorney deal with this stuff? Why isn't the real estate broker being in there? Patrick's giving me the old state guy.
The attorney?
Hear me out, for a minute. It's everything has to do, and you guys just said it, the amount of leverage that the buyer has or the seller has. And if they don't have that leverage, and I know I learned this from you, Patrick, that once you go ahead and negotiate or open up for this inspection thing, it's not just the inspections that you're talking about, it's the entire agreement. True or false?
I mean, regardless of what the lawyer puts in their letter, this is not considered a counteroffer and we can withdraw it at any point. That is a meaningless sentence because the contract is very clear that those constitute, I'm talking about the 7.0,
Yeah.
It constitutes a counteroffer. And, a counteroffer is it really, when you talk about counteroffer in a legal perspective, a counteroffer is, it basically means you don't have an agreement. You don't have a contract. And the contract is clear that if you're unable to reach an agreement on either the attorney review or the inspection items, either party can walk. Mm-hmm. So, that the contract really is, it's still pretty open at that point. Now, you asked a question, why don't agents take more, why don't they?
Initiative.
Well, sure, take more initiative in it. Some agents do. I'll
Very
get,
fair.
And not that many, not enough. If I was an agent, I would rather be, if not the spearhead of that negotiation, I want to be integral in that negotiation. I have no problem. I have the ability to set my ego aside when I get from an agent, here's a contract, I'm in talks with the other agent on the inspection stuff, hang tight, I'll let you know when we reach an agreement. And then they send me over the agreement. Makes my job easy. Mm-hmm. Why do I have to overcomplicate it by saying, that's nice, let me talk to the buyer and find out what they really want? It's like, no. Why on earth would I do that? More agents should do that. That should be, let's normalize agents being more involved in the inspection negotiations like they do in other states.
But that's more of the education portion of it. I know when you go through real estate school to become an agent, I think it's like 45 minutes where they talk about the home inspection process where it comes with it.
That's your job.
And it's no, I'm talking about to get your license in real estate. And Beth, I need your support on this one. Why am I getting, and again, I do most of my marketing direct to consumers. All right, I do have some very valuable real estate relationships, and these are very ethical agents. I'm very proud of them all right? But I still get a lot of direct-to-consumers where they're working with agents that they don't trust, so they don't use the real estate agent's inspector. They use me, all right? And then they're asking me whether or not they should ask for those repairs that come in there. And I have the tough time, and I think I got it down pat, where, I tell them, I said, I don't know the value of your home or that you're buying. I don't know how many other buyers there are. I don't know how many other listings there are that are available in that area. I don't know how bad they want to sell or how bad you want to buy. There's too many, what's the word I'm looking for, variables that I just don't know. And if I try to tell you or give you that kind of advice, I'm way too ignorant. I can't do that. And no disrespect to attorneys, Patrick, but I believe you're just as ignorant as I am on those things.
I say that to my clients all the time when they go, well, should I move forward with this? And I'm like, look, I don't, all of the things you just said, I say to them, I don't know those aspects of it. I am, when I can only assume that the price that you and the seller arrived at is what the house is worth, right? Because that's how a market is meant to operate. It's something is worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it. Now,
so Beth, Coach, we are running short, and that's why I'm interrupting on Patrick. I do this to him all the time.
So rude.
I know. Coach real estate agents right now. Yeah. Give them the message about how the expectations should be for their clients, so that you could give them, whether it's buy or sell side. I don't give a damn.
I mean, you have to understand. We'll go back to all of these data points, right? Because I'm such a dork. It's like, understand the month supply of inventory, understand the actual level of competition, and that all trickles down to the 2 inspection items and 2 how to handle it through an attorney review process. If it's such a competitive, we're talking about a ton of demand for one house, and easily we've got a couple backup offers, and just like you said, if we could terminate the contract as a listing agent right out of the gates, if we feel like, if we just even get the hint, if I even get the hint that a realtor starts to come at me with like, well, they like the house, but they noticed blah, 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 and I'm like, oh, I don't know about these people. I don't know. I want to hear like, I love this house. I love this house so much and I want this house. And then I'm going to tell you like, hey, don't send anything in a letter that is going to jeopardize this because,
And
There's
you know which agents are gonna do that. And by the way, that is going to have an impact on whether you, as a buyer, win that multiple offer situation.
oh,
And
100%. 100%.
Average lifespan of a real estate agent is less than 2 years.
Be careful. Be mindful who you hire. It matters.
500,000 active listings in U.S., 1.6 million realtors with the National Association of Realtors.
A lot of
What
hungry
was that
realtors.
percentage about how many real estate agents did not do one?
98% did less than 8 deals.
I love seeing, and I'm going to go realtor bashing right now.
Mm.
I love
boy.
seeing when people put I'm in the top 5%. But if you look up their numbers,
Oh.
you had 6 transactions.
But that's
and
still qualified.
5%.
There you go.
6 transactions is a top 5%.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, ugh.
And there's still more people there's still so many people out there that go, I could do that. Really? Can you?
Right.
I love watching
And-
HGTV.
And don't get me wrong, I firmly believe that everybody can do every job. You just have to
I
have
know.
the passion to learn how to do it right, and you got to want to do it right. If you do that part and you really care about your clients, you're right. Anybody can do it. But if you think it's a get-rich-quick scheme and all you got to do is unlock a door and put some blanks on a piece of paper, you're in for an unpleasant surprise, and you're going to be one of those statistics.
And don't forget, you think that you can compete with these people. These people are good at
Very
what they
good.
do.
The good
And
ones are.
if-
Or they're really bad, too.
Well, the numbers suggest that the ones that have the lion's share of the market are good. And do you think they're going to let you come in and take even a little bit of their business? They can spare it. They won't.
Patrick, we've got to close everything up real quick. How do people get hold of you, please?
Oh, follow me on Instagram, Loftus_Law. Follow me on TikTok, Loftus Law. I'm funny.
Does Naya T Cat, is that TikTok or is that Facebook?
She's on. She's on
Or
Insta.
Insta.
She's on Instagram. I'm pretty intermittent about. I've got a lot of things I'm posting on different accounts, and when I feel inspired to put my kitty cat Naya T Cat Naya.t.cat on Instagram. She's a little. We call her the little stinker.
Now I'm the nerd here going ahead and talking about the Cat's Insta page. Joey, how do they get hold of you,
pathetic.
please, and thank you?
Why? You can find me at thevaloannerd.com. You can follow me across all the social medias as at the VA Loan Nerd. You could call or text me at 630-235-2405 or email me at show@thehomebuyershour.com.
Devin, I have a request for you, and thank you for producing the show. I need some sexy 80s saxophone music on the soundboard, so that when Joey does his little, I'm the VA Loan Nerd, we can play it in the background.
He is like Frank
Just a
Sinatra,
request.
'isn't he?
Just a
He's got
request.
that golden voice.
I'd say like
and
the
such.
beginning of I'm Never Gonna Dance Again, like that sax
Yes.
lead in right there.
Devin, you have your assignment.
Oh my goodness. All right. I'm going to be real quick because we are running out of time.
No, we're not.
My name is Charlie Bellefontaine with Chicagoland Home Inspectors. Beth, if you don't mind, please give us your contact information
847-668-2384.
and your website.
ReptaResidential.com.
Repeat that, please.
ReptaResidential.com.
Sounds good. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And if I did get a little bit worked up, well, tough cookies. It's my show. I get to get worked up.
Gas
So this
prices
is-
are too high.
WCPT AM 820, where the facts matter. Thank you again.